Here, you can exercise your rights to freedom every day without leaving your home. We don't just say, we do. It's the Stain City way.
Hello and a special warm welcome to Real Talk with myself, Anele, coming to you live on SABC3, where the stage is yours. National Science Week is just around the corner, and later on in the show, you'll hear from the Department of Science and Technology about the importance of science. And if you're a taxi commuter or taxi owner, you don't want to miss out on my chat with the co-creator of an app called AftaRobot, which promises to bring peace and harmony in the industry. But right now, what is the state of South Africa's contemporary art scene? For many of us, the South African art world may seem to have produced no more than a few major talents, most notably William Kentridge. But the contemporary art scene in South Africa is changing rapidly, opening itself up to more young black visual artists who are making a name for themselves. In studio, we have visual artists here, and they're busy creating masterpieces, which we will go and see at the end of the show. My first guest is a leading contemporary South African artist who has exhibited globally, far and wide, from South Africa to France, Italy, the United States, Netherlands, and even Scotland. While many artists have been told that it takes 20 years for an artist to make it big, his first show, Walk With Me, sold out within an hour, and he was only just a student. His work, Soul of Azania, is currently exhibited in London at the Gallery of African Art. Internationally acclaimed South African artist Nelson Makamo joins us on Real Talk in studios today. Welcome.
Thank you, Anele, for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. I thought you would, you know, artists, they usually come and they're full of paint. They want to show that they're artistic.
Yeah.
What's the look here, Nelson? What's the look?
This is the new look for an artist.
Oh, right, okay. We've modernized the entire thing. So apparently you used to sketch in your books. Teachers would be looking for their maths homework. Then they find a nice piece of art there. Reveal yourself.
Well, that's just how it all started.
Yeah?
Like any other child, you become curious. You know, you get, you know, obsessed with lines, colors. So that's just how it all started with me. And I mean, you know, if I look back, like I realized that there were a lot of people who contributed to that, because you've got friends who would actually encourage you, because that's just it all started within your family environment. From family environment, it goes into school. From school, it goes into the people that you actually play with. So with me, it actually started with that, is that my environment will always, that is why I think in my work, I'll always have that to say, I will never forget where I come from, because it has actually made me who I am. So,
I mean, if we're all sketching and we're kids, right? And we're sketching, you know, you find a chalkboard, you sketch. You find a bit of clay on the ground. I remember we used to draw on concrete. You know, who then says to you, you're talented, there's something more. This is not just a fleeting moment of art.
I mean, it's, you know, with talent, it's just something interesting about it, because in most cases, people will tell you, but they will never encourage you to make a living out of it. Because I think, you know, if you look at South Africa, where we come from, you know, it was never a norm to actually see someone, especially within the visual art, making a living. Like you look at music you grew up with, there's the way artists were making a living through that as a talent. But when you look at the visual art, it has always been a question mark as well, you know.
Besides, I suppose, because for music, you can tour the world and take money every time somebody sees you. With art, it goes up at a gallery and only one person can buy it.
Yes. Like how it was structured in a way that for you to break through, that is why they'll usually say it will take you like 10, 20 years, because there's a system that you need to follow. And that system, it's probably one of the difficult systems to break through. But I mean, change, you know, I usually say to people that we're not ready for change, but when change comes, you actually either become part of it or you become a follower of it as well. So I mean, when I got into the industry, I mean, it was like fortunate enough because South Africa was just heading into a different direction as well. And then you realize that, you know, there wasn't any room to sort of complain, thinking there I am, I'm young, I'm black, so there's just tons of opportunities in front of me as well. And then, I mean, we were like told that, like, how I got into the industry is like, you know, black people don't buy art. So like you walk into that and you're thinking...
But that's already limiting as well, because let's say black people don't buy art, then I can sell to white people and Indians and Asians. Do you know what I'm saying?
And I think that's also the thing that has probably made it even more difficult for people to really understand that, you know, you can make a living out of your career. And how I got in, I was like, but I mean, you look at what anything, like when you start thinking of anything that has to do with, when you create anything, it can be a car, anything that you design it, you actually have to start it from an artistic, like you need to start with the creative first.
Yeah, creativity is the base for everything.
So that's exactly that. If creativity is the base of everything, so the person who is a creator, why aren't they actually making a decent living out of it as well? So then that's when I thought, like, there must be a way to sort of, you know, get in as young as you are and be able to sort of, you know, change things. And especially the time where we're living in the time of technology. So,
but I can, because you started chemical engineering for all of 3 months, but that means that as much as you have a creative side to your brain, there's an analytical side as well.
I mean, we were talking about it earlier on because of it's the National Science Week.
Yeah.
That for any person, I mean, a lot of artists, like the materials that they use are scientific. So, like, you know, that is probably what we would refer to as general knowledge in the world of art, because you can't, there's no way that you'll be able to use chemicals and you don't really know the science behind it as well. And that's exactly that, you know, it's that I got in and I had a talent and I took advantage of the talent, but it was just not that only. When you get into any industry, you either have to do your homework and decide to say, if you're there to be part of the audience, that's okay. But if you're there to be on the stage, then that's a different ballgame because attention comes to you. So you have to actually decide at an early stage to say, like, if I'm gonna get into this, I'm actually gonna get into this to actually build a legacy, or I'm just getting in to be part of the audience, which no one will ever actually notice you as well.
So when you look at your art from the very first one to the latest one, and I know that you're exhibiting currently in London, can you say you know you're getting better? And is it possible in the art world for you to have a notable improvement, or do you always have to behave like, you know, my first work is as good as my last work?
You know, it's always interesting when it comes to that, because, I mean, I've learned that experience is the best teacher. Your first work, you know, because it's your first work, it's like the first thing that you really, like, proudly own. It will always have that special place. But in terms of, you know, getting better, we get better with time, because based on what we've actually learned.
And your experiences as well.
And your experiences as well.
The emotion matures.
Of course, maturity as well. Like, you know, I mean, I was a student on my first year. That's just how it ended. My second year, you know, third year, I was no longer a student. I never look at myself as a student anymore. And that's the only thing that will actually make you improve in whatever you do, because you don't actually, you know, treat yourself as second best. You're always thinking, I can actually go beyond this point where I am. And that's something I don't even teach you as well. I mean, they don't like a lot of institutions, they'll only offer you the history, but the business side of it, no one tells you. And that's where the importance of being an artist comes in as well, to say, you know, they don't get to teach us in terms of having to understand to be a businessman as an artist. They'll always say an artist should never be a businessman. And that's just how it is. And how are you supposed to actually improve and grow?
If you don't get the maths down.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, this has been very enlightening. Thank you so much for coming to join us. Before we go, the most expensive one you've sold, how much was it? Just tell me. Just tell me.
Well, I haven't sold the most expensive one. I'm still alive.
Ooh! After the break, we feature another talented young visual artist who has many art enthusiasts and art critics wagging their tongues. Don't go anywhere. Just tell them. And we're back. Thank you so much for tuning in. My guest right now is a Johannesburg-based independent artist and arts writer. Having studied the arts, printmaking, and journalism, he's carved a niche for himself as a sought-out artist. Collectors of his work include Wendy Luhave, Khalima Mutlante, Max and Eleanor Sisulu, Victor Dlamini, John Kani, James Ngobo, Sibongile Khumalo, Mampela Rampele, just to name a few. He works at Assemblage Studios and is the founder of Samantole Creative Projects and Workshop, a community-based art organization focusing on arts and literacy for young people. He has participated in numerous exhibitions, both locally and internationally, Joburg, Polokwane, Cape Town, Washington, D.C., and London. In 2015, he collaborated on a project with the renowned South African artist, William Kendridge. Please welcome to the show, Chipape Mahato. This is you, hey?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so there's one thing I noticed about your art as I was like looking through it, is that you focus a lot on boys and their innocence and their growth. Is there a specific reason for that?
There is no specific reason per se, but you know, I actually they're more informed by my previous exhibitions where I was looking at the orphans of people who died in Marikana. Oh. So I think that when I was working on the series of orphans, that's where the boys and girls came in. So I think that's where it started.
And do you find that to be a successful artist, you kind of have to have a thread? Because you watch art movies, right? Where they're stealing art sometimes, and this is what informs us, is that what's always the common thread is when you look at a piece of art, you should be able to know who the artist is even before you look to see who created it. Is that a myth, or is there truth to that?
I mean, it can be true. It can also be a myth, because I believe that as a visual artist or as a storyteller, you need to be like a film star where you are able to act in different movies of different genres. So that's why when you look at my work, there is some sort of versatility where you might sometimes say, I think this is not Chipape. So, but then I have, and that also comes with freedom of creation, where you just being free to create and not boxing yourself to a particular theme just to be maybe quickly recognized, you know, or your work to be recognized.
Because I suppose that would be you being a one-trick pony. You know this worked and you know that it's sold, then that's all you do.
And sometimes it can become boring, you know, it can be boring. But, you know, you can use same style, but you can also improve or let it grow, take its own shape as it goes. So thereby maintaining what is believed to be a myth or fact of your own particular style or trademark.
You said boring. Isn't that the most dangerous thing for an artist, to be bored? So you're constantly looking for inspiration so that you can create, right?
I think boredom is important to creative individuals, because in the process of being bored, you might have some ideas that triggering the boredom, because you look deeper into what is happening. If that is a boredom that is happening, you might look at it and try to use that to influence your work or your next body of work. So I think boredom can be important in one's life, especially an artist.
So you studied at Newtown's Artist Proof Studio?
Yes.
Is it necessary to study it in order to be good at it? Can you just be this naturally talented person who can paint amazing things?
You can be naturally talented and not study, but I think studying is important. However, like Nelson said, at art institutions, they do not teach you all the things. Some of the things you just have to go all out and learn them. Studying art is very important because it kind of introduces you to the art world and to see how it works, to learn about artists who came before you, who are successful, who are making it. Then you can then trace where or how did they get where they are now, unlike just being self-taught and not expanding your knowledge and understanding of the industry itself.
But okay, so you are in varsity, you're in school at an art school. How does the grading go? Like, how does your lecturer say, you know, you get an A, you get an B? How do you crit something that is objective? Is it objective or subjective? What word am I looking for here?
I mean, it's always difficult to judge the creative work or a work of a creative artist.
Yes.
So I think the grading depends on teachers' taste. However, they are well versed about what is happening, and their feedback or their crit on your work might break you or might build you. So I always believed that a work of art cannot be criticized, or you cannot judge it. The judgment always depends on your taste of a particular work. And I think artists, they create work not to be liked, because they are telling stories. So if somebody doesn't like your work, I think they should create their own. Like Chinua Achebe said, if you don't like my story, write your own. So it's a bit tricky to judge a work of art. But then it is important, because you are in an institution being taught by people who studied art, who know what is happening. And this doesn't mean that their judgment is always right. It can be wrong based on their taste. They don't like your work, but that doesn't mean that you're not good enough.
Because the point of art, of course, is to create debate.
Yes, I mean, that's why we create art, to initiate dialogue, to get people talking about that which we are doing, which I think is part of telling our own stories.
So one of your charcoal works sold for 250,000 rand.
That's not me. I'm still alive, so that's not me.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, so here's then going into this question. Do you have to die before you can start being lucrative?
No, it's not a question of dying before you do that. I mean, the whole art industry or the visual art sector has changed. Some people, while they're still alive, they're selling their works they're breaking records at millions in auction houses. So I think it's not a question of you to die first before you reach or before you sell your work at that exorbitant amount of price.
So what's the breakthrough before you, I mean, if you're a soccer player, if you start scoring 50 goals a season, your price goes up. How will you make, like when you're sitting, you're like, okay, I need to start upping my value here?
There's so many factors that make you sell your work at a higher price. And a few of them is that, where did you exhibit? With who did you exhibit? Who curated your show and all that? Who collected your work also plays a major factor in how your work is being priced.
Have you ever created something that you didn't want to sell?
Yes, I mean, as creative individuals, there are works that you create and you go like, I don't like this work. But fortunately with me, because I recycle in my work, most unsuccessful works, they always find a new life in another piece. So I'm safe in that matter. Okay, but
have you ever done something so amazing and so beautiful that you know you could sell it for a good amount of money, but you're just like, no, but I want to keep this one forever?
Yes, I mean, people get surprised when they visit me at my studio, and they go like, I like this piece. And I go like, yes, thank you, and it's not for sale. And they'll go like, but why? I say, I'll tell them that this is my firstborn's piece. So there are pieces that I create that I do not sell. Sometimes it's because of emotional attachment or you just loving the piece that you cannot let it go.
And in terms of time span, how long does it take you? I mean, I saw you were creating for us earlier on as well. How long does it take for you to decide, okay, something is like, it's almost ready? Because nothing's ever finished in art.
I believe that my work is only finished when it is gracing the walls of a potential client or a client.
Okay.
Until then, it's not finished. I can rock up in my studio and say, I would like to work on this piece that I finished 3 years ago. So if it is not hanging somewhere in someone's home, it's not finished. This reminds me of a story of, I think it's Picasso.
Yeah.
He used to go to people who collected his work with brush and paint. And when he gets there, he just finishes the piece. He just touches it because...
He's just maintenance guy.
Yeah, like it's not done.
Don't mind me. I'm just here to just finish this off.
Great. I mean, work of art, it's hard to just say it's finished. But sometimes the work of art tells you when it is finished. Yeah.
This has been so enlightening. All these questions that I wanted to ask artists have been answered.
Thank
and
you.
now I can see you guys, you know, you have a personality. You come out during the day.
Yeah.
You talk to people, you know, hold up in a studio where
Yeah.
your angst is like making you create.
No, like I think we are a different breed or generation of artists. And somebody, when we were busy collaborating, was like, I see you painting on Nompumelolo's piece, or you painting on each other's piece.
Yeah.
That's collaboration. And we're trying to break that cycle of just maybe being too attached to your work and letting it go and welcoming collaboration, which I think is important.
It is important. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Look at me making you all cultured and stuff. After the break, I'll be chatting to another phenomenal young visual artist. Stay tuned with us. And you're watching Real Talk with myself, Anele, and today we're celebrating South African young visual artists. It is said that art can tread where words and politics often can't, and that is exactly what my next guest has done with her talent. She has a passion for gender issues and identity and uses oil and sculpture as well as painting to communicate her views. She works as an art teacher at Artist Proof Studio, where she graduated with a professional printmaking certificate. Nompumelelo Ngoma likes to describe her work as having a feminist approach. She's also the recipient of the 2016 Cassia Veltz Award. Welcome so much. Mpumi, can I call you Mpumi?
Yes, Mpumi.
Please give me that award again.
Cassia Veltz Award.
Cassia Veltz
Yes,
Award.
it was through Back Factory Studios.
Which means what? Like,
it means it gives an artist an opportunity to go into the Back Factory Studios and then to serve for 3 months residency making work, and then you're awarded also an opportunity to have a solo show. So with me, it was at Circa Gallery, which was one of my biggest opportunities.
And easily one of your biggest achievements then as well.
Yes, a highlight of this year, actually.
A highlight. So you also were a tour guide at a point in an art studio, right?
No, it was at Standard Bank Gallery.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was that, you trying to make your way into the industry to kind of learn the inner workings before you come out with your own talent?
Yes. So it was in 2006 and 2004 when I finished my matric. And then, you know, you never know what to do and how to get into this art industry. And then I had an opportunity to work at the Standard Bank Gallery and to do some tour guiding, to work with some school children, offer some workshops and there. But then I found out about Artist Proof Studio. And then that's when I enrolled from the Standard Bank Gallery into more education at Artist Proof Studio.
Did you take art in high school?
I didn't, but I was known as the drawer of the class. So in your biology class, geography, everyone would just come to me and ask for, you know, do those sketches.
So when you had to draw the maps or the continents or hard, you were out there helping everybody out.
Yes.
Why didn't you take art?
There was an art
offered at the school.
Yeah, in our curriculum. So it was just, you know, there and there. But that's where I developed, you know, the love for this thing. And that's where I also realized that actually I could draw and I'd like to pursue this more because I become more, you know, at ease when I do what I love.
This is true,
yeah.
yes.
So
you know, when you're in your element, you are fluid.
Exactly.
Tulamfazi, let's talk about that exhibition. Oh, you like it. You're excited about it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I know it had to do with, you know, the politics around Lobola.
Slightly, that's where my work started.
Yeah.
So this comes from that series of Lobola. So where I did the white wedding dresses versus the meat. So it's the pure versus the, you know, the gory of the visual, looking at the meat, and you're drawn into the painting, but then you're like, oh, what's happening? But with Tulamfazi, I was progressing from the white wedding, because our culture, we do the white wedding and we have the
traditional wedding as well.
Yeah, that's when I introduced the blanket as the garment. And Tulamfazi was a phrase that I saw years ago, actually, before, you know, the show was happening. The phrase to me spoke a lot. You know, with Zulu words, you can always have different meanings. So for me, Tula was...
It's either keep quiet, woman, or
take
I
off.
heal you,
yes,
woman.
Yes, and also take off, because, you know, Mautula is Mbasha, you know. So that's how I looked at it. But when I saw the phrase at first, because it's on a taxi, and it's driven by a man, and it's a statement that was
those stickers that they put on the back.
You know what I mean? And I was like, you know, But then when I really thought about it, actually the word means a whole lot more than what it actually is, you know. That's where I started playing with the word, you know, Thulamfazi. So the main piece, which is titled Thulamfazi, has a portrait of a woman that has blankets on top of her head, stacked over. So it talks about a load of, you know,
being taken
issues and whatever that we deal with. But then it talks to that physically taking off, you know, whatever load that you're carrying as well. And then it talks about, it's a question, it's a discussion that was thrown at to say, this is how we are treated as women at times, because we are expected to, you know, submit and carry ourselves and don't say what you feel.
Don't tell us how you feel.
Yeah, rather just keep quiet.
It's like strength is in silence for us. That's how you are deemed to be strong. It's like if a woman keeps quiet and she endures all the abuse, be it emotional, financial, it's like, you know, if you keep quiet about it, that's a strong woman.
Yes.
And the one that speaks out, you know, she's the one who's weak, who's allowing all these eyes into the family secrets.
Yeah.
Okay. So now Chipapi was talking about the fact that you guys collaborate, right? As artists, and this is where you are as the modern day visual artist. When you have a message like yours, and I mean, your work has got strong feminist messaging, how do you collaborate when that is what you want to be heard?
Yeah. First of all, with collaborations, we don't just collaborate for the sake of it. We talk about it and we approach each other knowing that we are in similar concepts, you know, or rather themes. If he talks about, because his work does have some themes of women and, you know, the dress and whatnot. So we talk about such, and then we realize that actually you and I can work. That's where we come to, you know, the collaborative process, because it has to gel, it has to, you know, feed off from each other as well. So that's how we come to a collaborative process.
Speaking of collaborating, I think one of the biggest one this year was Mam Esther Mahlangu with John Legend and which it was a car brand.
BMW.
Yes, actually I remember it as BMW. Now for you, when you're looking at, because like you said, you discussed the collaboration when it comes to other artists, but when it comes to just other products, you know, what are you looking at? Who are you looking at collaborating with? When you're like, you know what, my work could fit with this brand, be it a clothing brand or a book series. I don't know. Talk to me.
I'm happy that you're asking that question, because I'm sort of conceptualizing towards, because I work with fabric, I work with garments, you know. Makosa Laduma's, I was looking at that and I created something towards that.
Yeah.
So it's in a process of you know, being something, you know, something can come out of it. So I'm always looking into, you know, fashion mostly, because it's you know, usually materials that's used there, fabric. So yeah.
So can you tell us when it will be in the process?
It's not even something concrete yet. It's just an idea that could.
It's got legs.
Yeah.
It's got legs.
Yeah.
So
it definitely has. Yeah.
Okay, so when we think of artists, we always like, you know, these free-spirited people who don't have bills, you know. but the truth of the matter is, you've got bills, and you have to have an income. So I know you lecture as well, but what are the dark sides of being a visual artist in South Africa?
It's really tough. I actually quit my lecturing job last year, so I now work full-time as an independent artist, which I have found so challenging, you know. But you see people like Nelson Magamo making it, and you see that actually this thing is doable, and you're not doing it because, but it's the passion that drives you. But then you have the bills to pay, you have, as everyone, you know, we have our families, and we have to eat and survive. But then again, you have to buy materials, you have to pay studio bills. It's everything out of your pocket. So for me, the challenges was that it doesn't just happen overnight as we think it does, you know. Yes, it does take a while, but if you keep at it and you know your focus and you just push, and it happens eventually. So
I have all the faith that it's going to happen for you.
Yes, it should.
Quickly before you leave, does that not look like Rebecca Malope?
Really?
That looks like Dr. Rebecca Malope.
Really?
Even the hairstyle.
Wow.
It's that hairstyle she's had for 30 years.
And it's supposed to be me.
It's supposed to be you. Well, you and Rebecca better talk because somebody's dad did something with somebody.
But you know what I like? I use my face a lot for portraits.
Yeah.
Only actually my body, my face, because my work is usually personal to me and to everyone else. But I was looking at a strip of portraits that I was painting this week. And I was liking the fact that each and everyone looks different. And it's all supposed to be me. But I like the fact that all of them have character. All of them say different,
say something
have
different.
Different voices as well. So a face has become it's always been an important subject in art. But contemporary South Africa, like portraits are like the thing because they speak a lot.
Oh, Bumi, thank you so much because that says, praise God, hallelujah. Thank you so much, Mpums.
Thank you so much.
After the break, we will look at National Science Week. Stay with us. The Department of Science and Technology will host its National Science Week at the Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University this Saturday, running until the 12th of August. And to tell us more about the campaign and the significance of promoting science is Koki Selepe, Deputy Director. Look at me giving you a promotion. Hey, Kumnanda Real Talk. Deputy Director of Science Promotion at the Department of Science and Technology. You know, Koki, if this week was around when I was a kid, I'd be a doctor now, you know that?
Definitely. I'm glad that at least a number of kids would experience these initiatives that we are providing for them to get to know science. To talk about National Science Week, I would say it is one of the campaigns that the Department of Science and Technology is leading in terms of developing a society that is knowledgeable about science, that is able to form opinion about science, that is scientific literate. So the National Science Week is an annual event that is celebrated countrywide, where now we have a number of stakeholders, role players, government organizations, non-government organizations coming together jointly presenting initiatives to showcase the real application of science, the usefulness of science in our daily lives.
So at National Science Week, so obviously, one part of it is the kids who are attending so that they can be, enlightened about science and, the careers that science can take you to. Yeah. Then I suppose it's people who are already in the careers who are there as well to give talks, to let them know that this is what I do, you should come and try this. Yeah. Do we have people scouting, say, to give bursaries, to see if someone's got a potential so that they can kind of say, okay, you are interested, let us take you into our guidance so that we can develop you?
Yes, we run different activities during the week. Some of them would have people coming in to give bursaries, like during the national launch, which is preceding the event itself. We have a big exhibition where now all these people will bring materials, those who have bursaries, those who have information, share the information. Others come in and showcase the application of science itself to these learners, And not only the learners now, we want the general public, the parents, the researchers, the scientists, because if you are an expert in one science or one field, it does not mean that you know the whole science. Yeah. So everybody gets to participate. We want the whole, that's why we say the society that is knowledgeable about science, that can form an opinion. So we want everybody to participate in this, but particularly we want to make this exciting for the learners. We want to make science, technology, innovation appealing to the learners so that they are able to consider careers in science, technology, and engineering as an option for their life.
Do you find that, because every end of the year when the results come out for matrics, it's always like, oh, the maths and science mark, it's nowhere. We're going down, we're burning, bring the water flames. Do you find that there's a general, misconception is a bad word, is the general like a bad attitude towards science? Because you're like, oh, science and maths is difficult, I can't do it. Do you find that that's where learners are at?
That's where learners are at, that's where the parents are at, that's where everybody's at. So with this National Science Week, we're trying to break that myth, that barrier, that science is everything, science is everywhere, maths is everywhere. Every day when you go buy bread and do it, you're doing maths. as Nelson said just earlier now, that he started as an engineer and he applies that chemical engineering knowledge to do. So we practice science every day, but yet we don't want to see it as something that we do.
As a subject.
So the National Science Week wants to do that. We want to show the familiarize the society, the people, the general people, everybody who's just living, even me, the government official, whoever, about science around us. That is not only in the textbook. You need not to be that nerd to be, you can still participate and excel in science if you want to, if you focus. Science is for everybody.
But what's the disconnect? Because, I mean, if you've got people like Mark Shuttleworth, who are South African, Elon Musk, who's South African, I mean, Elon Musk and Tesla taking over the world, and he's South African. What's the disconnect? Why were some people, not afraid of science and took it head on, and then the rest of us are like, wah?
The thing is the background. You need support, you need encouraging people, So if the general society is not supportive of a little project that you start at school.
Like a volcano,
and then in other cases, you don't have the support of your parents, you don't have the support of the educators, you don't have the support of your neighbors. So the
support of your curiosity.
Yes, and then the dedication as well. We're not giving it our all, to make it in this field. It's a challenging one. You don't just get a glass of water and drink, but you need to sit there and focus and give it your all.
So, National Science Week, where is it happening? Is it happening across the country? Do we have different varsities, different venues around the country?
Yes, National Science Week is happening as from the 11th, from the 7th up till the 11th of August. But as I said, the activities of the celebrations are preceded by a national launch, which is led by the Minister of Science and Technology. And then it's done countrywide, so we have opted to do the launches in different provinces, so each province gets a chance to do that, and then the premier of the host province gets to support the minister at the launch.
So we're doing something in every province?
Yes. Okay, so this year, we're doing in the Eastern Cape, the Port Elizabeth, and then the minister will do the launch on the 5th, and then the celebrations would formally start on the 7th, running up till the 11th, and then number of activities would happening countrywide. We have a number about the registered what I can think of now, we have 100 people who would be running countrywide, but these are not the only ones, because these are the ones that I know that we are talking to. But we have others that are not funded, or they just do the celebrations like we do the Valentine's Day. Everybody just celebrate Valentine without being funded. So that's what we want to have Science Week get into, where we just celebrate it without funding. Everybody just celebrating science. So we have a number of sites countrywide in different provinces running, done by different organizations, as I said earlier on, that we have higher education institutions, we have schools, other schools are hosting activities, we have science centers, we have government, other government departments support us into this campaign. We have a non-government organization, you name all the people that have interest in the science.
And how long has this been running?
We have started this since 2006.
Okay, so 9 years in, if my maths is right. Yo, nice science and maths.
You want to put me in a corner now?
2011 years.
It's 2000, not 2006, in the year 2000.
Okay, that's easy, because then it's 17 years. Oh, thank God for that. And can you see the results of it? You can see that the interest for science is becoming...
The interest is getting there, because the participation, the people who participate in the actual events that we're doing, based on the figures from 2016, we have 12 million people being reached at those centers that are running activities, even in cases where people go to the people in the malls. We have activities in the malls. And then the 12 million people are reached through various media coverages. So we have moved a lot. We see progress. We are happy with that. And then with the feedback as well, we find that most of the people, we already have people that are already scientists, engineers who have started meeting with science during a science week. So we're quite excited about this, and we're pushing it so much
forward.
that we do a lot and then move on and then invite everybody to come and be a player in these celebrations.
I like that. So as part of the build-up towards National Science Week, after the break, we'll be chatting to a young person who has developed an amazing app called AftaRobot as part of a Department of Science initiative. If you want to find out what the app is all about, sit tight. Trust me, you want to hear this. So a group of young South Africans have developed an award-winning app for both taxi drivers and commuters. The app enables taxi drivers to find waiting commuters and passengers to keep track of the taxi and the bus routes. But I'm not going to say any more because the man behind this app is right here to tell us. Welcome to Real Talk, Obakeng Mathloko. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, you are a scientist. I can see it because you're shy. Okay, that's fine.
Oh, I'm not shy, but it's fine.
So tell me, what's the app about?
I think what we're trying to build with AftaRobot is that we've seen that we want to give people value, and value in terms of a real value that counts for them, in terms of their daily commute. And that is in essence what we're looking for from the commuter side. But not only that, from the taxi industry side, what we're saying is it's the value of information that could then affect your business. You know, how if you had information about, let's say, dispatch frequency ratio. So how often are your vehicles leaving at a particular rank? How many commuters are standing further up the road? All this kind of data can inform a better service that you can then provide to your client. And this is what we, in essence, we're saying as AftaRobot, that creating that value that counts for each and every one of the users that is undeniable that they can use in order to allow them to do one thing, to be able to travel safely from work, from school, and efficiently, and also from the business side to be able to understand what is my business doing now, you know, where are my costs coming from, what is happening. You know, we see things like the recent, you know, strikes that would happen, or even the unfortunate incident where that lady, you know, got raped in front of a child. You know, these are all things that occur because you know, people understand that where there's no sort of structure or information that's happening, people can then take advantage of that. And that is in essence what happens then. People can take advantage, let's say, of an industry if they do not understand what are the underlying data sets or sets of information. A commuter can be taken advantage of if they don't understand. Is this an actual valid taxi that I'm getting into? You know, where is the taxi?
So this app would tell you that because all the taxis would be registered on this app as well.
Exactly.
With the registration number, the driver, so that you can, to be secure.
So this is what we're doing. That's why we're saying, we're calling it constructive disruption, where we want to work with the taxi industry to help them better give a service to the client. Because ultimately, even the commuters, this is what we're saying to them. Currently now, right, they buffering their time. So they, on their own, they have to leave super early. There's things that you have to do as a taxi commuter because why? The system does not take care of
because there's no foresight for you.
Exactly.
All you know is what you see now in your taxi.
It's all about the immediacy of now, and hence what we're saying with AftaRobot is, you know, we want you to be safely on the route, on time, without a queue. You know, this is what we're looking for. And with the taxi industry, what we're saying to them is, it's beyond seeing. Because if you look at, ever since this industry has formed, right, the entire implementation of it has been based on a limitation, and this limitation has been sight. You can only engage with each other when you see each other.
When you leave your house, you don't know how long it's going to take before a taxi arrives, but you know uzamapa ukhombe.
And that's the thing, you know, uzamapa ukhombe is a communication tool. And remember now, we've got these things called mobile devices. They are there. You don't have to use your hands or your sight to get information. And this is what we're saying. So to all the players, we're saying, let's say even from a commuter side, that in the past, you used to have to buffer your time. You have to set your time ahead in order for you to get to, say, to work or school, because you don't understand what's happening. And what we're saying is, moving forward, buffer your intention. So send these commuter requests 30 minutes ahead of time. You know, give us your next 30 minutes and allow AftaRobot and the association to then service you. So that's why we're saying with the association, is that, you know, there's, you know, the minibus taxi industry, one of the things that...
Is it not difficult to get through to them?
It is, like, I'll say with anything new of value that you create, right? There'll always be challenges in terms of implementation, because, you know, you have to sort out so many things.
And you have to put at ease so many emotions.
Exactly. Like let's say even with the operators. So what we're saying is, you know, that there is an unavoidable shift that is happening in the world, whether we like it or not. You know, the world has moved on. And, you know, one of the things that we find quite challenging is that, you know, people can either choose to win or to lose, because with any of these shifts that happen, right, there's unavoidable people that are going to lose and those that will gain. And what you'll find, if you track history, whether it be from the guys that came up with digital cameras and the guys that had film cameras, right?
Kodak.
It's that ability for you to be able to say the world has changed, you know? And if the world has changed, how do I then accept this change and move
take
on?
my slice of that pie?
Exactly. And what we're saying to the taxi industry is, we cannot deny that ride-hailing apps and solutions have come to the transport industry. We can try to deny it for as long as we want, but outside in the world, I mean, I was fortunate, I got to go to Melbourne and talk at the World Congress.
Is this all
on
from
ITS
you
system.
guys, National Science Week
No,
people?
this was actually totally random. They just contacted us on our site. And what you find is, and you see, is that, you know what, there are people out there in the world trying to figure this out. And you know what we've also found, which was ironic, right? When we look at the minibus taxi industry, we actually realize something, that it is actually potentially the best one-to-many public transport service there is out there, because one of the things we found is that most of the other services need subsidization. Of course,
they run on their own.
Yeah, but it's not an ideal situation. I think every public transport mode needs subsidization, and one of the things that are challenges is, how do you exactly subsidize an informal kind of system?
Listen, you're right, you're not shy. Like, as soon as you started speaking, you convinced me. Like, I want to catch a taxi now AftaRobot. So what happens? Do people download it on their smartphones?
Yeah. So what we're saying is,
I need to go, but you have to be really quick.
So basically, we're saying that it's right now we're busy testing the solution. We're working with associations.
When it's live, you'll come back here and tell us about it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And in a
Sorry,
few months.
we ran out of time, but you are amazing, and you and your friends must continue. Okay.
No, we'll do.
Cheapest, and that's how we wrap the show. Catch National Science Week activities in your communities. Plenty of them to look forward to. From myself and the team and AftaRobot, guys, goodbye.